How you doing, baseball fans? Welcome to tonight's stream. We're going to be talking the Padres and the Phillies. Should be a fantastic National League Championship Series. How are we doing, everyone? Good evening, good evening. Seeing a few of you trickle on in. How are we doing? Who we got in here? I see E-Man 84. Astros in 6. He's already predicting the American League Championship Series. My goodness, he is ready. We're going to have to wait and see who they end up playing. I was going to be doing the post-game coverage for tonight between the Yankees and the Guardians, and then it got postponed. I'm sitting here on my bed right over here, and I'm thinking, wait, hold on a second. This game hasn't even started yet. It was like 9:30, and then they postponed it. So I'm gonna get into that whole scheduling in a little bit here. My goodness, I kind of looked at how they had everything set up in hindsight. It's like, man, what are you guys doing here? So I don't know, whatever. But we're going to get into everything tonight. We have a couple of moderators here. How are we doing? Joe Girardi Hater, what's going on? Carla Sanchez is in the chat. Carla is still getting over her loss with the LA Dodgers. Carla, I am so sorry. Justin Cummins, what's going on here? Padres in 7, he says. How are we doing? My goodness. This series could go either way. You know, I'll get into everything here, but man, I'm seeing a whole bunch of different predictions. I'm seeing Padres in 7, Phillies in 7, Padres in 5, Phillies in 6. I'm seeing a whole bunch of different predictions. That's what I like about this series. You can just go a whole bunch of different directions. It's going to be very tough to predict. I do have my prediction for tonight. You know me, I'm very bad with my predictions. I get a couple right here and there, but I've been pretty bad this offseason. Tom Dower, how you doing, my friend? How you doing? All right, everyone, let's get into it here. But before I do get started, if you are new to the channel, think about subscribing down below. We're trying to get to 27,000 by the end of the postseason. I mean, I don't know. It's going to be a tall task. We only have, a few more weeks of postseason left. So think about hitting that subscribe button. Help us get to 27K. Everyone, hit that like button for me. It's going to help us out with the algorithm. Hit that bell notification as well. That way you know every single time I go live or upload some content. Share the stream. Share some content. I just did a video yesterday. If you haven't seen it yet, go check it out. I gave a few reasons to why the Padres were able to stun the Dodgers. So go check it out. Currently working on a video on the 2001 Seattle Mariners. You all voted on the 2001 Seattle Mariners in the poll on which team, or the next video I'm going to be working on, which would be the next, or the best team to not win the World Series. So you all picked the 2001 Seattle Mariners. Definitely want to keep doing those videos. I enjoy doing those. So anyway, hit that share button, everyone. Share any of the content. And let's get to it here, everyone. I'm rambling here. You can probably tell I'm tired. I don't know what it is this year with work. Last year, I felt like I was just on top of the world, man. Like, I could do it all. I felt like I could work every day, come home, and I was just ready to go. I was ready to stream. I don't know what it is the last, month or so. Work has just been kicking my butt this year, man. It's been kicking my butt. I've also been Ubering a little bit lately, too. So I do this to myself. I overwork myself, and then it gets to be, 11 o'clock, and I'm just tired, man. I'm tired. But we're going to power through here. Let's get to it. Here we go. We got the Padres and the Phillies. Let's get this music here. Of course, I forgot to get the music started. But this is going to be, I think, a really good series. And I'm glad this is the series. It feels nice to, not have the Dodgers or the Braves yet again in the National League Championship Series. I'm glad that we're able to see some of these new teams. I always like seeing some new blood. And for me, this Padres team, it's such a good team. They've made all these moves, so it feels just almost right that they're in this spot. And then the Phillies, you got good players. You've made moves over the last couple of years, so it just feels right that they should be here too. So in the end, I'm glad that these two teams are playing each other. Taking a look here, where are we going to go first? Actually, really quick, before I do get to the Padres and the Phillies, just want to talk really quick about the Yankees and the Guardians. Again, it was postponed, So this will be tomorrow at 4 o'clock. Very interesting. So I will be doing the post game rather early tomorrow. So be on the lookout for that. It is now official. Nestor Cortes will be starting Game 5 on short rest. It was supposed to be Savali in this one for tonight against Jamison Tyone, but now plans have changed. I am guessing the Guardians could go with Bieber. You know, Shane Bieber is going to be involved in this game somehow, whether he starts or maybe even comes out of the bullpen for a couple innings. I definitely see Shane Bieber getting involved in this game. That's your top guy. I would love to see these two guys go at it again on short rest. Hopefully we see Bieber. I think for the Guardians, that would be huge. And for the Guardians, they definitely have some other guys they can turn to as well. And with the Yankees, too. You're going to see a lot of different guys involved here. So this should be a good Game 5. But the one thing I want to just point out here, is this postseason schedule. You know, I was looking at it the other day. I never mentioned it because I just didn't think it was going to be really a big deal. But because of tonight, here's the thing. If we were to go to the schedule... Right, so where are we at here? No, let's go to, here we go. Why are they having the National League Championship Series start tomorrow? To me, you gotta have a day off between, like, whenever that last game ends, you gotta have a day in between, you know? So now you have the Yankees Game 5 and the Guardians tomorrow. And the National League Championship Series is starting tomorrow. You have to kind of just let there be a breather day in between. But it also would have been beneficial, too, if there wasn't any games planned for tomorrow. And then you could have just had, well, now you're having tonight's game play tomorrow. You know, and you wouldn't have to be then thinking of the NLCS later on. I don't know. To me, I feel like they've always done a day off in between the division round and the championship round. I don't know why they did this. But also, to me, it just took them so long to postpone the game. It's like, I understand they're trying to get a game in. It's a playoff game. I get it. But I don't know. You didn't look at the radar all day. Like, it took you that long to postpone it. It was like 9:15, 9:30. And a game is still going on. Or they're still waiting for a game to happen. I don't know. I just feel like it was just a little weird how they handled everything. But again, you got to have a day off in between the two rounds. That's just my opinion. I don't know. It gives you flexibility. It gives you a little breather, too, between the rounds. Gives you a little excitement. So that's just me. Either way, this is going to be a fun one tomorrow. Hopefully we see Shane Bieber in this one for the Guardians. But it's going to be awesome. Nestor Cortes getting another playoff start. You saw Garrett Cole go for yesterday, and he looked great. So you gotta love it, man. This is gonna be a good matchup. It's gonna be a really good Game 5. I am excited for it. But let's get to this Padres-Phillies series. This is why we're all here, getting close to 100 people in the chat. Thank you for stopping by. But Game 1, we're gonna see Zach Wheeler and Yu Darvish. Fantastic pitching matchup. Hey, I mean, there's a lot here to really talk about. This is going to be a close series. No matter which way it ends up going, these games are going to be close. You got pretty even parts of this team. Starting pitching looks really good on both sides. Both sides have had solid bullpens. Offenses have a lot of good bats. There's a lot of superstars in this series. I love that you're getting Bryce Harper against Juan Soto in this series. I think that's great. You had Soto, who was the replacement for Harper, and then Harper, ended up going to the Phillies. They're on different teams now, but I think this is kind of cool. They're both in this series. And you got Machado and Harper in this series as well, the two big free agents of 2019, and now they're coming head-to-head here. You just got some good pitching matchups. Yu Darvish, Zach Wheeler. What an awesome Game 1 that is. Aaron Nola, Joe Musgrove. I love that. There's so much to like here. Overall, I'm excited for this series. Very excited for it. But let's talk about the Padres first, huh? Let's talk about the Padres first. Really enjoying this Padres team. They have come together at the right time. Like I said, in the offense, You got bats all over the place here. Obviously, you got Machado having an MVP season. Josh Bell has been turning it on in the playoffs. Jake Cronenworth has come up with some big at-bats in the playoffs. Man, I mean, it's been great. It's been great. And then Juan Soto as well. He is starting to heat up. That, I think, is going to be a huge factor for this Padres lineup. And actually, I do have some keys that I want to go over. So if you remembered the last series, if you remember, or the last round, I presented keys for each team. So I have new keys for this new round. So for the Padres, the keys I have: Soto needs to keep hitting. This guy has been getting hot in the last 3 games. He was able to collect some hits. He was driving in some runs. Juan Soto, he needs to keep up this pace, especially against the Phillies pitching. Absolutely. But I have 2 other small keys as well. When it comes to the hitting, you got to figure out how to hit Zach Wheeler's slider. Okay, and then you got to be hitting Aaron Nola's curveball. Those are 2 really good pitches. Let's talk about first here. Let's talk about Aaron Nola first. Aaron Nola, the mix of pitches that he throws, it's fantastic. He's got fastball, curveball, sinker, changeup, throws some cutters as well. But his curveball is his big secondary pitch. If we go take a look here at where the Padres rank against curveballs, they're okay, 12th overall, but they're going to need to do a little bit more than this if you want to hit Nola's curveball. It's a great pitch, one of the better curveballs in the game. If we go take a look at the pitch value of it, or the run value, a -7 run value. Very, very good. And obviously you can see here one of the better fastballs in the game this year. The sinker was one of the better sinkers in the game. But that curveball, his secondary pitch, they're going to have to figure out how to hit it. Again, they're not bad against curveballs this year, but I think they could do a little better. A 3.3 value against it. So let's see how they do. Now with Zach Wheeler, if you take a look at his pitch mix, fastball, slider, sinker, curveball, and a few changeups. But his big pitch is the slider. So if we go take a look at sliders, the Padres, they actually, I think they might have a better chance against Wheeler in this round. They do very well against sliders. I could see Wheeler having a bit of a tough time with this Padres lineup. We'll have to wait and see. But as you can see, the Padres 4th overall against sliders this year. So while Nola and Wheeler, these guys are absolutely fantastic, I think the Padres, they're going to have to be preparing themselves for certain aspects of their game. I think Nola could have a better chance of having a better series than Wheeler in this one, to be completely honest, after I've seen some numbers. But Nola has just, I think, looked a little better than Wheeler in this postseason. So we'll have to wait and see how it unfolds. But as for Soto, I mentioned again, Soto, he has been getting some hits lately. He was, again, it's weird because how good he is. He's been rather quiet this year. You know what I mean? Like, the big news with Soto this year was the trade. I feel like I'm not really hearing too much about just his game this year. And again, it's not been his best season this year. He was a little down with some of his numbers. His on-base numbers were still really good. But when it came to just his overall offensive game, his numbers were a little down. But he's starting to hit a little bit more. Let's see if he can keep this going. Those are the keys that I have for the Padres. Now, let's take a look at the Phillies here. When it comes to the Phillies, it's a great-looking lineup. You got bats all over the place. Schwarber, Hoskins has been good this postseason. Harper has been on fire this postseason. Castellanos has been picking it up as well. You got other guys like Bohm. You got Segura. Marsh has come through in a couple spots this postseason. I also like the bench for the Phillies. I like me some Sosa. I like me some Vierling. I like some of these guys on the bench here. And actually, if we go take a look at the bench for the Padres, you got some other guys. You got a couple catchers here. Alfaro, Campusano, Will Myers. He came through a little bit in that last round. But overall, I do like the Phillies bench. I like the versatility of Sosa. I like Matt Vierling as well. And the starting pitching, like I mentioned, Wheeler, Nola. Now, this is where I do show a little concern for the Phillies, and I think most people they see that slight difference when it comes to the starting pitching. I'm going to get back to the Padres here in just a second. But with the starting pitching, like I said, Wheeler, Nola, very good. But there's a bit of a drop-off after those two. You got Ranger Suarez and then Noah Syndergaard after them. But when you go back to the Padres, obviously they got a stronger three here. Darvish, Snell, and Musgrove. So that's where the Padres do have a bit of an advantage. Now, I know you could go Wheeler and Nola. You could get a couple of starts out of both of these guys. So you could get 4 games out of these guys. Obviously, the second starts would be on shorter rest. Neither of these guys have pitched on short rest. Actually, Darvish hasn't pitched on short rest either. So I don't think that really matters all that much. There's no real advantage in that department. But the difference with the starting pitching is the Padres starting pitching is slightly deeper. Where Suarez, he was really good last year. He didn't really go that deep into the game against the Braves in his last time out. His last few starts of the regular season, they were a little shaky. And Syndergaard, he has had his ups and downs with the Phillies. He looked okay in his last start. He didn't go very deep. But where, again, the Padres, they have this advantage is you got 3 guys here that can go deep into games, and I definitely think that could be a bit of a difference. Now, let's shift over to the bullpens. Hader, obviously, he has really found his mojo in this postseason. He has looked absolutely fantastic. Michael Yanch, a $5 super chat. My Padres in 5 go to the World Series. Michael Yanch showing the confidence. I love it. I love the confidence. To be honest, like I said, this series can go either way. You could have the Padres in 5. You could have the Padres in 7. You could have the Phillies in 7. Maybe the Phillies in 5. Who knows? Maybe one of these teams sweeps. That's how close this series is, I think. It could really go so many different directions. Now, Michael, thank you for the super chat. But back to the bullpen. Hader has really found his mojo. Suarez and Garcia have looked really solid in the setup roles. The middle relief has been doing their job. Whereas the Phillies, now, it's been interesting because you've had, guys like Eflin, he's had a couple of games where he hasn't looked very good, but then there's been a couple of games where he has looked good. Jose Alvarado had a couple of games there in the postseason so far where he didn't look as sharp. But, with the Phillies, for the most part, it's a good bullpen. All year, if we take a look at the Phillies bullpen, they were 9th overall. Actually, in the second half, they were 9th overall. The ERA looks a little scary at 5.10, but the FIP looks a lot better at a 3.64. Strikeouts per 9 right around 10. They were walking some guys. So not the best bullpen in my opinion, but they've been solid and they have been getting the job done. Whereas San Diego in the second half, their bullpen was just a little bit better than Phillies. As you can see, the FIP and the ERA were lower, a little less on the strikeouts, but they were less with the walks. So San Diego, I have to give the edge to them in the bullpen, and that's not just because of Josh Hader. That's not the only reason. I know a lot of people might think that's why I'm leaning that way, but no, I've been liking Suarez and Garcia in the back end. They've been having multiple guys come in. I like that. Don't forget, you also got some long relievers here like Clevinger and Manaea. I know Clevinger did not look good against the Dodgers, but who knows? You could have, if it comes down to it, and you really needed some innings, let's say Snell, he couldn't get out of the 4th or something, you could turn to someone like Clevinger or Manaea, and that's another advantage that I think the Padres have. They're just deeper with the pitching than the Phillies. Now, one aspect, let me actually go here to what I think are the keys for the Phillies. So, when it comes to the Phillies, Schwarber needs to hit. This guy has not been hitting in this postseason. I think he's gotten like 2 hits. I think he's driven in a run. But Schwarber, I believe, let me actually pull up the numbers here. I believe he is hitting under 100 in this postseason so far, if my memory serves me correctly. Here we go. Let's share the screen. Kyle Schwarber in the postseason so far. He is hitting 050. That's how bad he's been. He's had 20 at-bats, 6 games. He has gotten 1 hit in this entire postseason. They need his bat to start heating up here. They really do, man. Now, if we were to go back to the keys, here, like I said, the Padres have some deeper starting pitching. They're going to need more innings out of Ranger Suarez. I mean, he only went, I believe, 3 1/3 in his last start. He got up to like 80, 85 pitches, somewhere in that range. Ranger Suarez, they need more out of him because right now, I think the Phillies' best chance is to get 2 starts each from Nola and Wheeler. But if you could get Suarez to get a decent start, maybe 5 or 6 innings, and then let the bullpen finish it up, I mean, I think that's going to be huge for this Phillies team. And they're going to need to keep up the defense. They've been playing some good defense, but you're probably asking, well, Robbie, why are you talking about defense here? Well, let's take a look. Sharing the screen. The Phillies this year, I did mention this, and hey, they were watching the last preview between when I was doing the preview of the Phillies and the Braves. I said, hey, the Phillies, they got to play some good defense. But I'm going to bring it up again. They need to keep it up because this year they were not a good defensive team. They were 25th overall in defense on Fangraphs. Negative 34 defensive runs saved. When it came to the UZR, it was negative 11.3. Outs above average, they were negative 36. The Phillies defense was not good this year. They need to keep it up against this Padres team. Now, I'm a big fan of, I think, something underrated, at least in my opinion, when it comes to looking at a team defensively. You need to look up the middle, right? And when I say up the middle, I mean catcher, shortstop, second base, and center field. That's the spine of your defense. Why do I only really tend to focus on the up the middle? Well, you know, the corners and everything, yes, those are good. But the up the middle defense, that tends to be where a lot of the balls end up going. A lot of balls get hit to short, a lot of balls get hit to second. In the outfield, most of the time, the balls tend to get hit towards the middle of the outfield. And then obviously the catcher position is extremely important. That's the anchor of the defense in the infield. So when we're looking at these individual positions, Michael Yanch, I see your super chat. I'll read that in just 1 second. But the Phillies, they have the advantage when it comes to catcher. JT Realmuto, one of the best catchers in the game. I'm not even worried about that at all. When it comes to second base, now the Phillies, if we take a look here, the Phillies overall at second base this year ranked better than the Padres. They were 8th overall, but the Padres were 17th. But if we go take a look, so as of right now, Segura is your second baseman. He has a 2.8 defense and -1 defensive runs saved. However, Cronenworth has a 3.4 defense and 2 defensive runs saved. So Cronenworth, I think, is going to be the better option out there when it comes to who has the edge when it comes to second base defense. And shortstop, if we take a look, the Padres overall this year, Ha-Seong Kim was one of the better defensive shortstops this year. Not too much for the bat, but Kim has been really good defensively. 10 defensive runs saved and a 11.4 UZR. Now, when it came to the Phillies, actually, that was the team numbers. Sorry, not just Ha-Seong Kim, but the Phillies have not really had good defense at shortstop this year. Overall, the majority of the innings have come from Stott. -4 defensive runs saved, a 0.1 UZR. I mean, absolutely, Kim has the advantage here. If I were to pull up Kim's individual numbers, we're looking at 10 defensive runs saved, a 4.7 UZR. The Padres easily have the advantage there. And when it comes to center field, the Padres, as of right now, that's shortstops. Hold on, let me go to center field. The Padres, Trent Grisham, he's been very nice out there. 3rd overall in center field defense this year for the Padres. And when it comes to the Phillies, now I understand you did just acquire Brandon Marsh recently, but 19th overall in center field defense. Trent Grisham has been awesome defensively this year. 8 defensive runs saved, a 4.0 UZR. If we're taking a look, so you've had Matt Vierling, then you also got Brandon Marsh there. Matt Vierling has not been good defensively, but Brandon Marsh, he has been getting the majority of the starts out there in center field. But with Brandon Marsh, he's basically just kind of gotten the job done. Over 300 innings for them, 0 defensive runs saved, a negative 0.1 UZR. So overall, you got to give the advantage to the Padres when it comes to center field defense. So when I'm looking at everything here, you know, I like both offenses. I would say those are pretty even. I think it's going to come down to executing, you know, whatever game plans they have against these pitchers. You know, with Nola, you got to figure out a way to hit that curveball. Wheeler, you've been good against sliders this year. Can you take advantage of the sliders? And then same goes for the Phillies against these starting pitchers with the Padres. Yu Darvish, you never know what the heck you're going to get with Yu Darvish. You guys throwing so many different pitches. They got to figure out a way to get to him. And then obviously the Padres are just so deep. But the Phillies, that's why they got to have these guys like Schwarber really step up for them. Harper, he's got to stay hot. Castellanos has to keep contributing. In the end, I'll say it's pretty even when it comes to the offenses. When it comes to the bullpens, I will give a slight edge to the San Diego Padres. I just think the back end of their bullpen is a lot stronger, while with the Phillies, they've had some good performances here, but it seems a little shakier than the Padres at the moment. The Padres are just way more trustworthy at the end of the game right now, in my opinion. And when it comes to the starting pitching, I think that's what this series is going to come down to, is how much are you going to get out of the starting pitching from both sides? Zach Wheeler, Aaron Nola, these are two guys that can carry you to the promised land. But I think Nola has a good chance of being really good in this series, but I could see Wheeler maybe getting touched up a little bit against the Padres here. While with the Padres, these three guys have been turning in really good performances. I know Snell, one start against the Mets, didn't look as great, but Darvish has been really good. Musgrove, he's been great. I like the Padres starting pitching a bit more. I think it's a little deeper. And you also got, you know, Clevinger and Minaya in long relief there in case you do need to try and get some more innings. I like their long relief options a little bit more. In the end, when it comes down to it, if I'm looking at this series with the Phillies and the Padres, right now, I like the Padres. I like the Padres in this series. I just think they're built better for a 7-game series, in my opinion. I'm not taking anything away from the Phillies. This is a good team, and I said this coming into the playoffs. I said if there is a team that could be a dark horse in this postseason, it's the Phillies. They could absolutely win this series. They're just going to have to get more out of Wheeler and Nola. They're going to have to try and get as much out of them as you can. Right now, I'm leaning more towards the depth of the Padres. That's kind of just the advantage. I'm not taking anything away from the talent of this Phillies team. I just like the depth of the Padres in a 7-game series. In the end, I'm going to go Padres in 6 games. That's just the way my gut is talking to me right now. It could go a lot of different ways. I don't think we're going to see a sweep from either team. I think they're going to go back and forth here. I just think in the end, the Padres are a little bit deeper than this Phillies team. Will that end up mattering? We'll have to wait and see. That's just the way I'm seeing it right now. I'm excited for this series, but in the end, I am going Padres in 6. That's the way I'm leaning here. I would love for the Phillies to win this series, man. With what I saw with that crowd in Philly, the way they just showed up and they were just so energized. Oh, absolutely love that. That was such a cool scene. The same thing with San Diego. This city has been waiting for something in San Diego for quite a bit now. The last few years, they've been ready. They've been making moves left and right. I think in the end, all of the moves the Padres have made will pay off here. And I think it's going to get them to the World Series in the end. I think they're a little deeper. I like their starting pitching more. I think their bullpen's a little bit more solid right now. They have obviously enough bats right now. The Phillies are good. I just think the Padres are just a little bit better in my opinion. But hey, I've been wrong a lot. So Philly fans, hey, get excited about that because I feel like I'm getting some stuff wrong quite a lot lately. So, Phillies fans, you should be excited that I picked the Padres. Super chats here. Michael Yanks, I missed yours earlier. Here in San Diego, we're still celebrating on beating the Dodgers. At least the fans, but the players are focusing on this series. Hey, Michael Yanks, man, San Diego, they have been in a frenzy the last few days. It's been fun to see. Mr. Rudy Poo, underrated storyline. Snell basically ruined Harper's MVP repeat season. Bryce will be ready. There's going to be a lot of good matchups here, man. You're going to be seeing, Juan Soto. You're going to be seeing Soto against Nola. Machado against Wheeler. I love these big-time matchups, man. And the other way around, too. Bryce Harper against Darvish, you gotta love it. You gotta love it. There's so many great matchups. I'm excited for this series. In the end, though, I am going with the Padres in 6 games, but that is all I have for tonight, everyone. I will be back tomorrow night. Probably not to talk about the Padres and the Phillies game 1. I'm going to be reacting to the Yankees and the Guardians game 5, so I'll probably be live probably right after that game. So that's probably going to end up being around like 7:30 or 8 o'clock. So be on the lookout for that. Everyone, on your way out, if you can, hit that like button for me. Helps out with the algorithm. If anyone is still new, hit that subscribe button for me and help us get to 27,000 subscribers. Hit the bell notification. Hit the share button. Everyone, I'm going to get out of here. Thank you for stopping by tonight for this quick stream to talk about the National League Championship Series. Again, I got the Padres in 6. Let me know what you think down below in the comments, but that's all I have for tonight, everyone. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you next time.